right, HBCU fans. All right, it's game week. Welcome to episode 3 of the Black College Experience Sports HBCU podcast. I am Derek Thomas, one half of your Black College Experience team in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And we have on with us the founder, CEO, and creator of Black College Experience, the wonderful, extraordinary Keisha J. Kelly.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another weekend of Black College Sports. As he just said, guess what? It is the week that we kick off Black College Football. So right now, if you're rolling with the Black College Experience, make sure you call in at 719-373-6861. That PIN number is 49170. Again, that's 719-373-6861. PIN number 49170. We will have none other than athletic director from Alabama State University, Jennifer Williams, that will be coming on in the second half.
Yes, indeed. And I know y'all heard that awesome new intro music that we have here. And that is God's Trombone by Marcel P. Black. He is a Southern University Jaguar graduate, 2009 graduate. It's a Jaguar. His new album will be dropping on October 15, 2019, In Search of the Black Messiah. You can check that out at all digital retailers and streaming sites. MarcelPBlack.bandcamp.com and MarcelPBlack.com. That song was tight, Kels. What you think?
I liked it. I absolutely loved it. I love the mix, like the jazz tone, so I love the mix. And I'm not even a band head, but I love the tone.
So, all right. And we have a caller, Dr. Coleman. How are you doing? From Montgomery, Alabama?
So that might be her. That might actually be Jennifer.
Oh, AD Jennifer, is that you?
Yes, hello.
Hey.
How's it going?
Oh, we're doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm good. The football season is here, so we're gearing up.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. We're definitely happy. I'm a Delta Devil, so I'm hoping we can have a bounce back year this year, on our second year under Coach Dancy.
Yeah.
So, I want us to beat y'all. So, you're the enemy.
We'll see. We travel to you guys this year, so.
And we're going to make sure that it's not friendly. We're going to stick the mosquitoes on y'all.
Okay, so before we kick this interview off, this has been something that I have been trying to, I promise you, we're trying to orchestrate this for I don't know how long. So, you come with a wealth. When I say a wealth of stuff, a wealth of stuff. This is a wealth of stuff, like literally a list of things. When I say the future is evil, people, believe it. This here is a list of stuff. We're going to let A.D. Williams tell you about her list of stuff that she does. Because I just can't see how one woman does it all. It's just so much stuff. And somebody called you the other day, the woman with all the trophies. I was a little bothered. I just ignored it. This was a Southern Jaguar. He said, that's the woman with all the trophies. I was like, you know what? That's true. And I walked away. I said, that's true. I'm going to let her have it. I just walked away.
Yeah, we win a lot, but I have a really good team. I couldn't do half of what I do without my staff and the support that they give. And, my husband is awesome. So it's not, I kind of am the person that benefits from having such great staff, but it's really my staff and my family that really helps kind of push the needle here when it comes to getting some of the things done and letting me have my time to be able to really focus and lock in on some of the priorities we have happening at Alabama State.
Okay, so we're gonna kind of back to. I'm gonna kind of go back because we got to go back to how you actually arrived at Alabama State and kind of looking at a couple of places that you were, DePaul University, looking at North Carolina A&T. Go back and talk about those prior positions and how you actually arrived at Alabama State.
Yeah, so I have, my background was primarily, it's been in fundraising and on the external side. And even before North Carolina A&T, DePaul University, I was a student athlete. And that's really how I kind of decided the path I wanted to go somewhat, because I really didn't figure it out until I graduated from college. So I graduated with a degree in journalism and African American studies, and was able to get a job at Fox Sports South in Atlanta. So I started in television and working on the show ACC Live, and that just really wasn't fulfilling for me. Felt like I was missing out. So I was blessed to have received a postgraduate scholarship through the WBCA. It was the Robin Roberts Sports Communication Award, or postgraduate scholarship. And I used that funding to go to North Carolina Central, where I really was able to get my hands wet and have some good mentorship working there in that athletic department. It was during the time that NCCU was transitioning. We were transitioning from D2 to Division I. And I worked a lot under Skip Perkins as well as Coach Hayes, just because they were on that external side, and was able to learn a lot very early in my career. And that pretty much fueled me to want to stay on the path of fundraising and marketing and alumni affairs. And from there, I took a position, when you're coming out of grad school, and maybe it was just me, I was thinking I was going to be making all this money after coming and getting my, advanced degree. But I actually ended up taking a job at Women Leaders, which was NACWA at the time, and it was paying $18,000 a year. But I knew that I needed to sacrifice and take that job, because it was going to help connect me and get me to that next level. And working at Women Leaders really did help build my network of some powerful male and females in the industry. I was able to interact and meet with ADs, senior associates, and at the end of that, internship, I was asked to stay on full time, but I wanted to get on a campus. And our executive director at the time, she respected my decision and worked, really to help me get to experience my dream of getting on a campus. And I was able to interview at DePaul University with Thad Dorn, who is the senior associate AD for development, and also with Jean Linty Ponsetto, who was one of few female ADs in Division I. And it clicked. I'm from Michigan, so getting back from to the Midwest was it was a wonderful experience. That was really my first full-time job in development, and had some great successes working there. Built some great relationships with the alumni. But I hit a glass ceiling. When you get to institutions that are doing great things, no one leaves. And so no one was leaving DePaul. And so it became really stagnant in terms of my ability to grow. It's crazy how I met a young lady through it's now the Dr. Charles Whitcomb NCAA Leadership Institute. We were actually roommates, Dawn Ellerby, and she actually sent me a job description for the position that came open at A&T, because she knew that I went to school in North Carolina. My husband, he was my fiance at the time, was from North Carolina, and she was like, "Hey, is this interesting to you?" And so it missed the deadline to apply, but I still reached out to someone I knew on staff and sent my resume, and it kind of just happened from there. And going to North Carolina A&T was the first time that I had ever had to lead my own shop. I went to North Carolina A&T as the Associate AD for Development and Executive Director of the Aggie Athletic Foundation. And working there really, it really has helped me being in the role I am now, because, dealing with the board, making sure, strategically planning and managing a budget and different things that I was able to really deal with, managing that staff piece, raising the money. It really helped me in my role as an athletic director, deputy AD. But again, at A&T, it was hard to leave there because it was, we were winning, raising money, but I knew ultimately that my goal was to be an athletic director. And it didn't seem as if anyone was leaving, and so, or there was any room for me to get some of the sport administration I needed, some of the other things I needed that went into being AD, and the position presented itself at Alabama State as the deputy athletic director, which was a newly formed position, and it made sense. So that was kind of how I came to Montgomery.
So going back, and one of the things that you pointed out, fundraising, and we know fundraising in HBCUs, he's a Delta Devil, I'm a Southern University Jaguar, so we know how important it is for fundraising in our HBCUs, mainly in our athletic departments. While at North Carolina A&T, and looking at, all of the bases that you covered, $4 million in revenue, and looks like doubling the alumni. Talk about that aspect, because $4 million is a lot of money to raise.
Yeah, well, collectively, what the thing is, what A&T does so well, you have to win. I mean, people want to be around a winning program. That helps drive the needle at any type of institution. So I was blessed that I came into the situation at A&T in a time where they had really kind of gotten over the hump and had we went on a huge run and really started to do some great things in football, and then my first year of basketball won. So we were winning in some revenue sports, which is key when it comes to fundraising. The other thing that has helped with A&T is the game zone, implementation of a game zone. As HBCUs, we have to start putting value on our product. And the fact that you have to have some type of ticket to even enter campus on game day is major. I know South Carolina State does something to that capacity, but I think that was key. Another thing that was able to aid in my success at A&T was the fact that a lot of the giving that happened while I was there, it was transactional giving. So what that means is we had priority seating in terms of football and basketball. So that enticed donors to get their donation in. You had to give at a minimum level in order to be able to participate in the priority seating, or you risk losing your seats. And not a lot of HBCUs do that, but that helps with creating and being able to forecast what your giving is going to look like and set tangible goals. So, and then having donors who have that affinity to give. When you look at A&T, the largest HBCU, you have a lot of alumni. It's really about reconnecting them and bringing them back into the fold. So working with the two presidents I worked with at the time, we really felt it was important to over-communicate. We wanted Aggies to know everything that was going on. We wanted to connect with them. We had some active alumni, athletic alumni chapters in key cities, with DC being one of them. The Greensboro chapter was very active, Atlanta, Charlotte. So we wanted to make sure we were taking our coaches to events they were hosting and supporting them, because we tasked them with generating revenue outside of the dollars we brought in. So it really was also streamlining how people gave. Before I came to A&T, and this happens at a lot of HBCUs, you have people giving to various entities. And we're better when we streamline and give to one unit. And that's something that that Chancellor Martin was very, and the AD Earl Hilton, they were very strategic and thoughtful in how they crafted this giving platform where it streamlined how everyone gave. You couldn't have people fundraising on behalf of a university and not having an official capacity. And that's something that a lot of HBCUs do. But as a best practice, you have to have one solid giving entity. And that's how the Aggie Athletic Foundation was formed. And it was resistance. Anytime you have change with anything, there's going to be some resistance. But by year 2, people were on board. They were seeing the benefits of it, and we were winning. So, I mean, it all kind of just played in together. And then you look at corporate sales. When you look at your inventory, how you advertise around games, especially when it's a winning program, corporations want to be a part of it. So we were able to really do some things from a corporate standpoint, as well as, private revenue and ticket sales as well.
Okay, Derek.
Well, first thing I want to talk to you about, because of course I've looked at your resume, I've looked at your LinkedIn profile just to get some background information on you, because you came in and as the deputy, then you were interim for 2 years, so you had basically a 2-year audition to showcase what you could do, right?
I was interim for a year.
A year.
Yep.
Okay.
So it was a year. Mm-hmm.
And then you became the official, and you've been taking the ball off and running since. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you won the SWAC Commissioner's Cup for 6 straight years, 7 straight years for the Sadie McGee Barber Jacket Award, and then what's the men's C.D. Henry Award? You tied with Prairie View this year. So just talk about what it means to continue the success, of former ADs ahead of you, because that's the thing. When you can continue success and then start building your own bridge to implement what you want to do, just kind of talk about that and just your plans for Alabama State's athletic in the future.
Yeah, so coming in as the deputy, came into a situation where Alabama State had pretty much established itself as a winning program. It really was maintaining and figuring out how to continue to motivate our coaches and our student athletes to win, because my conversations with our coaches and our student athletes is that people are aiming for you every day. You don't have time to let off because everyone wants to beat you because you won the Commissioner's Cup the past 6 years in a row. So really the conversations you have, I always talk about champions are built in the off season. What are we doing with our student athletes in the off season to mentally and physically prepare them? What are you all doing to prepare for your season, to be mentally and physically prepared? Because as we all know, our seasons are long. It's really, athletics is not a 9 to 5. You're here day in, day out, and when you're in season, it's even more intense. So really talking and having key conversations with our coaches about what it looks like to have that championship mentality. I'm lucky that a lot of our coaches, we had good rapport when I was a deputy. They believed and they stayed the course during the interim, because as we all know, when it's interim, you don't know how things are going to shake through. But we stayed the course, and then when I was named permanent, we were now starting to implement other things that we want to do. So during my interim time, we won 8 SWAC championships. This year, as the full, we won 10. So we want to continue, and we played in a championship game to possibly have won in 11th. But those Jaguars from Southern, they got us in baseball. But needless to say is that needless to say, we are trying to. The goal is to get that 7th Commissioner's Cup. We want to set the history books, the record books, and we want the 7th Cup. And we've started off. We know it's going to be hard, but our kids are fired up. And it's really about, a lot of people think of physical, it's really mental conversations that you have with yourself. And being a former student athlete, I think that I can connect with our student athletes when it's time to engage them, because I know what it takes to be a champion. I've played at the highest level, so I think they can appreciate that. But then our coaches also know that, hey, I'm going to do whatever it is to support you all. But at the same time, you have to continue to build our student athletes, because at the end of the day, we have to prepare them for life after sport. That's point blank. At our level, you're not going to get a lot of people going pro or having opportunities to go pro. And even if they do, what's going to be the game plan for when that's done? And so those are always the conversations we want our kids to don't just look at the now. Think about the big picture. So professional development for our student athletes, bringing in speakers, letting them go to conferences, connecting them with people. We just had a young lady who was selected to be an NCAA intern. That's the first here. But, it's really exposing our student athletes so they can be successful for life after sport.
And that's the name of the game, being successful with life after sports. Go ahead, Kels.
Oh, so this is always my question. We ventured here, and you have been in different sectors, you've been at different universities, and then you land into the HBCU world. Talk about the importance of HBCUs, the importance of HBCU athletics, and how you dealt with coming into the role of athletics, going from being the reporter at Fox Sports South and to coming into that. Like, how did you deal with that transition and the importance of it as you went into a HBCU?
Yeah, so I always wanted to go to an HBCU. Being from Michigan, and I really wasn't exposed to a lot of HBCUs because we don't have as many as in the South. And I went to a private high school, so the counselors there weren't talking to us about historically Black colleges and universities. But, through the Cosby Show and the different world, I'm like, I want to go to an HBCU. But I was also a really, really good basketball player. I was an All-American coming out of high school, and I just wasn't recruited by any HBCU. So when I got to Carolina, it's tons of HBCUs in that area. I knew that I was going to an HBCU for grad school. That was something I always said, I'm going to experience an HBCU. And so when I received the postgraduate scholarship, I didn't think twice about going anywhere else but other than HBCU. My transition from being a reporter, from working in productions on television shows, it wasn't a hard transition because, especially to transition into fundraising and external relations, because you have to have people skills. You have to be able to talk to people, and that's in television and in athletics, especially in athletic development, fundraising. So it wasn't a hard transition for me. I'm from Detroit, so, coming from Carolina to where you don't see a lot of people that necessarily look like you, to North Carolina Central where it's all shades of brown people, it wasn't a shock for me because I'm from Detroit, and so I'm used to that anyway. And I was a former student athlete, I worked at Fox Sports, so I was still working in the sport realm. It just was different. I always tell people you have to look at transferable skills. So a lot of the things that I did at Fox, they were easily transferable to working in marketing, athletic development, athletic alumni relations. It was easy. So that it wasn't hard. And when you talk about the value of an HBCU, that's really, going to North Carolina Central was really kind of where I knew that I definitely wanted at some point in time to work full-time at HBCU. I absolutely loved my experience at North Carolina Central. I loved being a student athlete, not to take anything away from Carolina. I loved it. But there was something about going to North Carolina Central and the element of the family and being around family and that support that you just didn't necessarily have at Carolina because it was a lot bigger. I had it amongst my teammates at Carolina, but when you got into the realm of it, it was just overwhelming, especially because I came from a private school where it was really small anyway. So having those closer-knit classrooms, that family sense, just the overwhelming sense of pride. I can't even explain, like my graduation, it almost brings me to tears now because it was just an overwhelming sense of pride. And I just knew that the student athletes at North Carolina Central, in my book, deserved the same thing that I had at University of North Carolina. And I was going to find a way to be able to provide for student athletes at HBCUs to have what I experienced at North Carolina. It may be on a smaller scale, but they were going to be able to get a piece of it. And that's the thing, the biggest thing that I saw missing was that, you know, I was getting this as a student athlete, where student athletes at North Carolina Central at the time were not necessarily receiving those same tools. And so I wanted to be able to bring that to whatever HBCU that I ended up at. And that's kind of what fueled me to be at an HBCU, because I've had opportunities to go back to PWI. I feel as if right now my impact is greater here. I never saw a woman who looked like me leading a department. All I saw when I was coming up as a student athlete were people of color as coaches, and really at Carolina as assistant coaches. So you didn't see anyone really in that administrative role. And so I want people to know that, hey, you can be an athletic director. You can be a woman and be in a leadership role. You can be a male running your shop and working in athletics. These are the ways that you can get there. And that's why I want to be that resource for our student athletes and even our coaches. You know, I have coaches that talk to me all the time about transitioning from being a coach to an administrator and what that looks like. And I want to be able to help them, you know, navigate that path when it comes that time.
Right. And here's the thing, your point that you're making, you want to ensure that your students and student athletes are primed for success. And, you know, I mean, that should be the goal of anybody in education and athletics. But you can tell just from you making that like the top of your platform, and that you saying you have a chance to go to PW, but you're choosing to stay at HBCUs. For me, that warms my heart. When I hear someone say that they're choosing to stay at an HBCU, even though you're at a rival school, you know, we're going to beat y'all this year. hopefully. That warms my heart. Because
lucky. Her NCAA legislation, I can't bet on that. But if I see you, I'm going to talk a lot of trash. Because if we beat y'all in Itabena, I'm going to call back. I need an invite back.
Oh, you can call back anytime. Go ahead and tell me now.
Okay.
You're a guest.
Remember when you said on August 25th that
you're a guest now, but you have the phone number. Anytime you want to call in as a fan, you don't have to wear the AD hat. Call in as a fan.
All right.
We can chop it up.
I can wear the fan hat?
Yeah.
That might be a different one. I don't know if you want the fan hat. I don't know.
Bring it on.
I don't like to lose.
Yeah.
I got to work on that.
And then with you being a film, here's the thing. You played women's basketball. Kels, Terre was my favorite sport outside of football.
Okay. He loves women's basketball.
I'm a women's basketball nut.
Women's basketball.
That's
probably
awesome
women's
to hear.
basketball, then softball, but he loves women's basketball.
I'm a women's basketball nut, and me and Kels kind of, you know, had a little squabble earlier this year in the women's basketball. I'm a Mississippi State women's basketball fan. You know the Lady Bulldogs.
You a Michigan State?
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State. Okay.
Mississippi State. Yeah.
Start Vegas.
Yeah. But it's just good to see someone who has a platform like you has carved a successful career everywhere you have gone. Everything you have touched, you have been successful. You know, even the position you said you didn't think was quite for you, you succeeded at that, and it helped you get to your next step in life. And for you to say, I'm going to stay here for however long I need to be here. I mean, that way you can leave a lasting legacy, and that's something that I want to see. And I'm an avid supporter of women's sports. Hey, I'm the co-host of a podcast created by a black woman. So I'm an avid supporter of women's sports. I mean, I've been that way forever. So I'm just glad to see that you're choosing to stay. I mean, hey, who knows? You know, if AD Key decides to leave, we'll take you at Valley. Bring the commissioner's cups with you.
Now, AD Key, she's doing a great job at Valley. I actually went down there when we played you guys 2 years ago, and I had never been to your campus, but everyone was super warm and welcoming, and her and Renee, you guys have some good people there.
Oh, yeah.
But you hit on a good point. You know, the biggest thing I see at a lot of HBCUs is that you have to get the right people in the right position, and you have to get people who want to be here. You know,
Correct.
A lot of things, and at a lot of schools, you have people who are trying to look for the next best thing instead of just doing a good job where they're at. And I've always been a key proponent on, you do a good job, people are going to find you. People told me I was crazy to leave DePaul to come to go to A&T. They said, why would you leave? And these were people that look like me and you, black and brown people who went to HBCUs telling me, why would you leave a PWI to go to an HBCU? But you have to look, my dad has always taught me to have vision, And I knew what my goals were. I knew that if I could be successful at HBCU, I could be successful anywhere. If I could raise money at HBCU, to raise money anywhere. And, I think sometimes you get people who are they're so quick to be looking for the next best thing or the next step or how to get out. I'm not saying I'll be in the HBCU realm forever, but I love it, and there's value here. And you have to hire people who want to be here, who's not just looking to collect a paycheck, and who are also knowledgeable. You get a lot of people who get jobs at HBCUs off the homeboy hookup. And we have to do a better job on hiring qualified people. And then once we get qualified people at HBCUs, we have to retain them. We have to work to retain them, because you have a lot of people, it comes to a rift, and this is something I have to talk to my staff every day, because I have a very powerful, young, dynamic staff, is that, hey, you can't let people who are set in their ways, who may have never been other places, bring you down. You still have to show up and show out and get the job done, because you have to keep the student athlete. Always keep the student athlete at the forefront of everything you do. And that'll help you be able to sleep at night and to be able to do things when it gets hard. It's not easy working at, I would say, anywhere, not just HBCUs. But when you really love what you do, which that's what you have to look for, people who are passionate about what they do, it makes it a lot easier.
Well, I have a question, since you mentioned your staff, and you had one of your first big hires was head coach of the football program, correct?
Yes. When I was interim, we hired Coach Donald Hill-Ely.
Right. So he became the interim head coach, and you were going, I think, 0-5. Y'all were 0-5, and after the 0-5 start, I mean, they won 5 wins in the final 6 games. So you decided to give him the job permanently. So what kind of let us know? Was it that 5-game stretch? Did you see the team just kind of react to him, and you let you know that, this is my head coach?
Yeah, looked at a lot of factors. It was actually a committee, and I won't go into super on the personnel issues, but I look at the kids and the way they responded. I went to every one of those games once we relieved Coach Jenkins of his duties. And Coach Ely was named interim. I went to every game, and those kids they lit up. When prior to that, they looked defeated. They looked as if they checked out. And being a fundraiser and working with people, I'm very big and very good at body language and picking up on those cues. And it just seemed like the light bulb went on, when the change was made. And those kids just really, really bought into the system and played their hearts out to close out the season the way they did.
Exactly. And I saw that myself. And in some of our swag message board circles, I said, he's going to be the head coach. Everybody was saying, no, they're not going to give it to him. I said, look at what he did with the season they had. Imagine if he had been the head coach at the beginning of the season. I mean, come on.
Right.
I mean, that could have been another championship you guys could have had. And before I turn back over to Kels, did you watch the NFL draft this past season?
Yes, I watched.
What was your response to seeing Titus Howard from Alabama State be a first-round draft pick?
It was an amazing experience. It was amazing to watch Titus to get that. For that to happen to him, because he definitely deserved it, and he's just a phenomenal young man. Take being an NFL draft pick out of it. He is a good person, and those are the type of kids that we recruit to Alabama State. We recruit quality men and women who are going to go on, because regardless of the NFL, Titus is going to be successful at life. Titus came back. He came back to one of our basketball games just to support and talk to his teammates. And so, and that were at the game at the time. So I was so happy for him, so happy for his family, so happy for the school, because, that exposure, when you look at it, hearing our name, Alabama State, I had people texting and calling me from all over the country, about them seeing our brand, our logo, our student athletes go the first round. So it was major.
Exactly. Kels?
Now, and I do, I have this conversation, and for people that know me, I'm literally like, when I say we're pounding the pavement every single day, I wake up to it, I do it all day, I go to sleep to it. I literally eat, sleep, and breathe the HBCU dream, and I literally mean it with everything in me. It's something HBCU. So I think I felt the same way to see the whole thing with Titus Howard. It kind of puts you in a different place because, of course, you know, we get the backlash. Well, y'all don't have 30, 40, 50 people. That's fine. If we have 1, 2, or 5, I'm cool with that because we're slowly starting to see the tides turn. We're starting to see more of those people come back home to your Southerns, to your FAMUs, to your Grambling, to your Jackson State, your Alabama State. We're starting to see those people slowly but surely come back home, and it's a great feeling. Now, this is one of the last things I want to ask. Going into athletics, did you ever face from male counterparts any, oh, you shouldn't have went into, or feel like they're inferior to you because they are male?
Yes. I've had people tell me, even take being an AD out of it. I'm gonna just go back to when I decided that I was gonna work and be a fundraiser, and a successful one at that, because first of all, there's not a lot of Black people that are in the fundraising realm for athletic development, and definitely not a lot of Black females. So starting in fundraising prepared me for some of the adversity that I've had to deal with being a Black female AD. I've had people tell me that you will not be successful being a fundraiser, and this was another Black man who I sought out to get advice from, who I had seen doing some successful things as a fundraiser. And yeah, it hurt. But when people tell me no, it makes me want to get it and go after it even harder. So right. I didn't get discouraged, but little did I know that it was preparing me for a lot of no's and slight and slander that I've experienced being an AD now. I have been on certain campuses through the SWAC where I've had males who, not necessarily in athletics, but who were affiliated with these universities, tell me, well, I don't talk to women, or I'm not going to have a conversation with you, or you can't be the AD. You're too young. You know, just little comments like that where I don't feel like I'm young, but I guess I don't fit what a standard or what their notion of an athletic director should look like. And I'm okay with it because I'm not easily broken. And I do think, and this is one piece of working in television, definitely prepared me to not take things personal. And I don't take stuff personal as long as you're not messing with my direct deposit. I don't get upset, you know, but the thing is, it takes time, because the 25-year-old me wouldn't respond to a lot of stuff the way I respond now. But television taught me not to take things personal. I've seen talent, I've seen producers go ham and back to back and yell at each other, all type of obscenities, and then right after the show go have a beer. And so that's the same that's how I carry myself. I've had people tell me, oh, you're too direct, or, you know, you can be your tone. But if I was a man, I don't feel like that would be the conversation, because I'm an assertive woman, and I'm from the Midwest, which is different coming from the Midwest, city of Detroit, to being in the Deep South. And so I'm still, like I said, I'm a work in progress. Just like when you're a coach, you have to know how to talk to different type of players to resonate with them. I'm learning, and I'm getting better in that. But I do think as women, we get put in this box, and people try to keep you in that box. And you have to be strong enough to say, hey, I'm going to do me, and I'm going to be who I am. And that's where I told folks when I was at the AASP conference, you have to own your dopeness. And I'm not going to change who I am, who my core is, to make you feel comfortable. Let me start saying
that. Own your dopeness. I'm going to have to start using that, people.
People have to, and I tell people that when I say that phrase, so many people retweeted after we did our panel because it just resonates. don't change who you are or shrink who you are to make someone else feel comfortable. As long as you know that you're doing the right thing and you are, that you're being true to who you are in your core, I'm not going to apologize for that. So that's take things personal, because at the end of the day, I can go to bed and sleep great because I know that everything I do is to better the student athlete at Alabama State and our department. That's the only thing that's my number one priority, is to making sure our students are good when they graduate and that they have careers and that they can be talented and successful and they can contribute positively to society. That's it. That's why we're here.
Well, here's something that bothered, that kind of, when you said it, I cringed because I'm a man, and it bothers me that women cannot work in sports without having to deal with what you're dealing with. Since the evolution of athletes in sports, women have been playing sports. They have been, in some cases, beating their male counterparts in sports. I played and grew up with girls who could play with and beat some of the boys in sports growing up. So I guess you can say I was kind of prepared for what I'm doing now, because I've always, seen girls play sports, including Tamika Reed, the head coach of Jackson State. I mean, playing in her backyard. I mean, I was like, I'm not playing with you no more. You don't let nobody win, But she was dominant. She was always that type of person as an athlete, not just as a girl, as an athlete. It just bothers me that it's in this society now. And Keisha posts about it all the time, and I make sure I retweet, and I be like, yes, you do belong. It should not matter what gender you are when it comes to being able to talk sports, work in sports, play sports, create a sports league, anything where it comes to being a leader, a trailblazer in sport. Where does it read in the definition of sport that you have to be a man to do something? And I'm not, a type of person who thinks that, a woman doesn't belong. I think anybody who can do the job belongs. It bothers me when I see that, and I just had to say that because it goes against every fiber of my being for a man to, I guess, try to displace a woman in her profession if her profession is anything dealing with athletics. When I was younger, you were always taught that, girls shouldn't be in certain places. But the type of mother that I had, my mother was always a woman who worked and solidified her place. And being around the type of women that I was reared around and raised around, my sister, my aunts, the women in my family didn't play second fiddle. And women in sports definitely should not have to play second fiddle to a man simply because that's how the society makes it. Oh, no. Running an athletic program, playing a sport, doing what you do, doing what Keisha is doing, it shouldn't matter if you're a woman. If you have the know-how, if you have the ability, if you have the drive, it should not matter that you're a woman.
I agree, and I thank you for being a champion for women in sport. It more, and I'm not saying that, every male that I've encountered, it's a few that still have these notions, but I appreciate those that I do encounter who understand that it's not about the gender, it's about getting the job done. And that's, really what it is at the end of the day. And I don't want it to be like it's just men, because women can be just as harsh, when they see a woman that's leading the shop. And so I don't want it to come off, because I've had some run-ins with some women who, because they may be in internal roles or have never seen a woman that can talk sport or, I guess, be direct or assertive in a way that comes off as a leader, they may not have ever seen that. And so they don't know how to handle it either. So it's not just men. I tell people at the end of the day, I don't take things personal, and because you never know what people are going through, but I'm not blind to some of the things and different challenges I face being a woman in this role.
Correct. And I totally agree. And like you said, it comes from all angles. And, granted, I've been at this, I'll say 3 years. I've been at it 3 years. But like I said, I tell people, a lot of people think that Black College Experience was my start. It wasn't. I started in Arena 2. It was Arena 2 football where I started. That's where I got my start. And I did some blogging. I did some writing. I've been in journalism since I was in college. So I did some writing in between the time. So it wasn't like I was set in one place. I was actually in game day. I was in game day operations when I worked for it's a defunct team now, but I was working for the National Basketball Developmental League. I worked for the Huntsville Flight. Wow. So I've worked in a couple of different things, and people really think, oh, this is where it started. I'm like, no, I started a long time ago, but this is what my child was. The Black College Experience was my baby. This is what I wanted to do because we don't get the exposure that we need. We don't get the attention that we need. We get the negative exposure, and for some reason, we feel the need to continue to put that out. I'm like, if you got 100 people talking negative about us, why do you need 10 more of us to talk about it? So, it comes into that fight.
Yeah, and before we let you go, A.D. Williams, I have one question, and I understand you may or may not want to answer because it's a question about an institution you used to work at. Over the weekend, there were some rumblings about North Carolina A&T planning a future move to the FBS. So, being that you are an AD, and of course, as far as growing and aspiring as an athletic program, the next tier from FCS is FBS. I mean, can you expound upon, as an HBCU athletic program, could we survive and thrive at the FBS level? What do you think about North Carolina A&T?
I think that if there's a school to do it, A&T can get it done. I think that when you have a chancellor like Chancellor Martin, he's a visionary, and I don't feel as if he was saying that they're going to go next year to the FBS, but I think it gets people thinking, like, what does that look like? And I think as HBCUs and when we have these leadership, we do have to start being visionaries. And I think that's why A&T has been able to be so successful, because you have consistent leadership. He's been there for some years. A lot of HBCUs have presidents like a revolving door, the same as athletic directors. So you have someone who's consistently been at the institution. And again, I just think he thinks about, vision, being that vision to move forward. What's that next step? What does it look like in A&T strategic planning? And I can't speak because I'm no longer affiliated with the institution, but from my time being there, I can, just to see the plan of how his plan was to grow the enrollment. Because when I was at A&T, FAMU was the largest public HBCU. And to see as I left how we surpassed them, that goes into having that visionary leadership, that transformational leadership. And so I do feel as if any school can do it right now, then A&T is definitely there. I think they're ranked number 19th in the FCS poll. They've had upsets over some FBS institutions. So, I don't think it's going to come in the next 1, 2, 3 years, but maybe 5, 6, 7 down the line. I definitely think that it can happen. But it's a lot that goes into moving into that FBS realm and finances. Your facilities. You have to have the facilities. You have to have the funding. You have to look at what conferences, would you just go independent for football and everyone else stays. So it's a lot that goes into it, but I don't think it hurts putting that out there because they recognize there that athletics is the front porch. Athletics is the front porch to your institution. And when your athletic teams thrive, that helps with attendance, that helps with retention, it helps with overall morale at your university.
Exactly. And, that's all I have for Coach A.D. Williams. A.D. Williams. Kels?
Well, we're wishing you a successful season. Alabama State is nowhere near a Southern University roster, so we don't play y'all this year. I don't know what Valley got going, so, hey.
Come back with your fan hat on.
Yeah.
I will. I'll see. Wait. We come to Valley this year, so in November. I hope to see you at the game.
Now, Kels, If we lose that game, you gonna be doing the show by yourself. I'm gonna like act like
I'm gonna need to be a caller immediately. When we win, I need to be a caller immediately that Sunday. But I will probably be at the Bayou Classic, so I'll get to see Southern. We don't play them, but since I've been in Alabama, I've gone each year, and I absolutely enjoy going to the Bayou Classic because I get to really be a fan and watch. So, I know our paths will cross this year, and I thank you all for having me on the show.
Oh,
your paths will cross if Alabama State wins the SWAC East and the Southern wins the SWAC West.
There it is.
That would be awesome to see everybody down, to see everybody once again. Oh, before we let you go, just let you know I'm from Huntsville, so I knew Melvin prior to, and I was laughing. I was like, oh, I see y'all got some good stuff going on down there. I was like, there's some good people coming through Alabama State. So I was like, oh, Alabama. Once you went to full AB, I was like, oh, they're gonna be in good hands.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, A.D. Williams. All right, Kels, man, that was awesome. I mean, I hope she comes back with that fan hat on, and I can be happy and celebrate in victory.
She did a really great interview. It was a really good interview just to hear all of that stuff and to hear it all unfold and talk about all the different things that she has done. I mean, It's just phenomenal to hear all the different things that she has done. But we're almost at the end of the show. And let's go ahead because we got to talk about this week coming up and what's going to go down with this first week of Black college football.
Well, before we did that, I wanted to just recognize the HBCUs who were recognized by the NCAA for APR Public Recognition Honors. 23 HBCU athletic programs were recognized as they scored in the top 10% of their sports in the most recent academic progress rate results. And we don't normally like to see APR results, but I like this, skills. Just want to run down these schools: Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Alcorn, Grambling, Hampton, Jackson State, Mississippi Valley, North Carolina A&T, North Carolina Central, Prairie View A&M, UAPB, University of Maryland Eastern Shore. All those athletic programs had individual sports be recognized by the NCAA, and I'm glad, I'm happy. But now it's on to week one. I see my LB is on. What's going on, PP?
Yeah, feeling good. Don't have to dodge any storms this week.
Oh yeah. Now on to week one. Now, of course, now we're not going to be able to go through every game, but we're just going to go through a couple of key games that our HBCUs are playing as we start off week one of football season. Kels, what's the first game you want to highlight?
The first game I definitely want to highlight. I'm kind of in the middle, but since I'm in Atlanta, I'm going to take the MEAC SWAC Challenge, which is none other than Jackson State and Bethune-Cookman College, since I'm here. But Alabama A&M and Morehouse will be the second. That's the second one for me. Those are my two.
Yes, indeed. Now, PP, I'm going to let you go second. What are a few HBCU games you want to highlight as we kick off this season?
Yeah, I'm interested in the SWAC MEAC Challenge. Mm-hmm. Then Southern playing Meet Me. That's this week, ain't it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Correct. It's Saturday. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then of course I might actually go to Valley, Tennessee State.
Yeah. I mean, our Delta Devils are playing in a John A. Merritt Classic. We're going to play the Tennessee State Tigers, and, hopefully we can make some noise in year two under Coach Dancy. I also want to highlight Alabama State, playing against UAPB. North Carolina Central playing against Austin P. Elizabeth City State playing against Hampton. And the Grambling State University Tigers playing against ULM. Oh, almost. A Prairie View versus Texas Southern. Coach Dooley versus Coach McKinney in his very first year as the new head coach of Texas Southern. So we've got a lot of games. HBCU football season is here. I'm excited. I can't wait to see who's going to get that first W, who's going to score the first touchdown for the HBCU football season. Kels, go ahead and close us out.
All right, so we are here. I will hopefully be at the MEAC SWAC Challenge on next week. It is a 3 p.m. kickoff. We can't leave without making notable mention. Once again, this is the inaugural Black College Football Hall of Fame Classic with Alabama A&M and Morehouse Maroon Tigers. This will be in Ohio in the Tom Benson Stadium. So this is a bigger game than what people are talking about. It's going to be exciting to actually see what's going to happen there. I think both teams are going to go out there, but just some notables or some of the Hall of Famers that are going to be in attendance. Robert Brazile, Alvin Bethea, Harry Carson, Ken Houston, Charlie Joyner, Art Shell, Mel Blunt, and then Emmett Thomas. And then, of course, there are some other people, but those are Ed Tutal Jones, James Shaq Harris. It's like a list of maybe 20, 25 people that are going to be in attendance at this game. So I think that they're going to have a good time. I keep on telling them if they want me to be the mascot, I can either be the Bulldog or I can be the Maroon Tigers. Bobby, I can go be the mascot. If I can get to Ohio, I can be the mascot. But I think it's going to be a really good game. I think, Patrick, if you do go to John Merritt Classic, used to be a huge game when Alabama A&M was playing them. That was one of the hugest games that we used to attend, and that was years and years ago. But it was definitely a great time.
All right, and that's all we have for this episode of the Black College Experience podcast. Make sure you tune in Sunday night as we will recap all of Saturday's action and recap who gets the first touchdown and the first W for HBCUs. For Derek Thomas and Keisha Kelly, with Black College Experience, we are out of here. Peace out.
Good night.